Hey guys, I'm Rick. Hey guys, thank you very much. Really appreciate the opportunity to be able to meet with you guys. I know Jim and Will were really excited to go down there and meet with you guys personally as we go through this virtual. We're very conscious of time as well, so we know that we have an hour as part of the agenda, and we want to get through a lot, right? But I wanted to start off. I'm Rick Becerra. I'm the Vice President of Sortation Solutions for Bluecrest and strategy for the organization as well. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. I know your time is valuable. So we're going to get through a lot of different areas. And we're also going to have some technical experts that are going to be coming in, giving you a demo. So at any time during this overall presentation, you guys have any questions related to anything, please feel free to jump in. Please feel free to stop us. There is no problem. This is a dialogue. If you have questions, anything technical or otherwise, just stop us, okay? So we're pretty excited, like I said, to be able to get in front of you and go through the overall solutions that we have for both sorting and inserting. One of the things that we wanted to touch on, we're in the demo room, right? This is our showroom within Bluecrest. This is our headquarters here in Danbury, Connecticut. And part of what we have here is the solutions and portfolio that we have. Obviously, Bluecrest deals with a variety of different solutions, stemming from upstream software all the way up front, all the way down to going through print and finishing. Our latest and greatest, right? Evalujet is newly launched off. We have a lot of really good traction on the Evalujet for printing and finishing and the different technologies. So Patty, we probably want to walk with them this way. As part of the overall print, I mentioned the software upstream. We have the printing technology as well. And this is not just about the printing that we have in terms of low to mid volume, but we also have high volume processing printers as well, right? On this side here is part of the demo room. We also have the Evalujet, the evolution, the inserting evolution. We'll talk a little bit more about this. We're gonna be bringing in some folks, so we'll touch on that for about 30 minutes or so after we get through the sorting solution. But this is what we have so far. We'll be walking through this step by step through the overall process. And we have Cliff, who's going to be joining us from a technical perspective. He'll be able to take us through each one of these specific areas. And over on this side, once we do the software upstream, the connectivity with, the Evalujet and the evolution, we come over and we have the sorting technology, right? Our latest and greatest enhanced technology. Right now, we are the highest operational throughput in the industry. We are the first to always get certified with the United States Postal Service when it comes down to qualifying for submissions and collaborating with the United States Postal Service, which gives us insight in terms of the things that are going on and the changes that are going on. And we always stay ahead of it, right? So as a global company, obviously we adhere to a lot of regulations across the globe, but one in particular here that we really focus on with a team, right? We have a dedicated team of engineers at an estimated 200 strong that are architects, developers, designers, and we hold that true to heart, right? Because we have over 200 patents. Now that we are Bluecrest, those patents are ours as part of the organization as well. Over 1,300 employees, an organization which is an annual of over 450 million. So really want to say thank you for the opportunity to take this time. I just wanted to do a quick introduction. Along the way, I'll interject, but I'm going to turn this over to David Chastain. He's our Vice President of Engineering. He'll be taking you through the sorting solution. We'll start in terms of the hardware, work through the software, and he'll touch on a few additional things that are related to some differentiation. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us this morning here from the virtual demo room. So as Rick said, my name is David Chastain, and I've been I'm Vice President of Engineering for Sortation team. Okay, so we've been designing, U.S. outgoing solutions for about 28 years now here, and I've been a part of that ever since that point. And this what we're about to describe here, Vantage, is really the evolution of 28 years of working in the field, working with clients, working with their operators, their service teams, and our own service team. Because ultimately, when we decided to, we started, with Olympus One, with a few machines prior to that, Olympus 2, which you folks have today. And really we didn't call this Olympus 3 because it's a completely new paradigm, because what we did was we took 20 years of in-field experience with our Olympus products, and we ultimately put everything that we had captured over those 20 years into, this is the product that the market needs. This is the product that customers want. This is the product that operators want to run day in and day out, because that's also pretty key. You have to engage the people that are running the equipment every single day and make it enjoyable to actually do their job. Otherwise, we don't all succeed in that. So really, this is where the Vantage comes from. I realize, I believe you folks have a current Ollie to Olympus to single tier. This happens to be our multi-tier version, okay? We do have other products in the single tier family, but mostly around flats and mixed male. So this is the product that we're going to demonstrate today, but we will show you ultimately what our replacement single tier, which ultimately runs both postcards, letters, and flats. But this product right here runs postcards, 6x9s, everything in the letter mail spectrum within the U.S. Postal Service, okay? Everything which I believe you folks run today and submit via Workshare program, okay? Via your current software. That is one of the things that I'll also stress right now, is from an operator perspective, and your US postal compliance software is exactly the same on your Olympus product as it is on the Vantage, okay? So when an operator walks up to the screen, ultimately they're going to see and become very familiar with it. So a transition from an Olympus product over to a Vantage product from an operator perspective is very smooth, because ultimately they're just seeing the new graphic of what the Vantage looks like, but all of the other menus around what they're doing with the feeder, starting, stopping, choosing first pass, second pass with US Postal Service induction is all the same. All of the stuff that we do remotely connecting, that's all the same. You have the same solid infrastructure that we have today within your shop. Okay, but what we do have, or we have a whole nother layer of things that makes the operator's life, makes the operations folks much happier in running the Vantage, as what we've learned over the years. And one of the first things we have is a much larger feeder ultimately on the Vantage, which allows an operator to load 4 trays of mail, and then that single operator can start the machine, and then they can actually walk around the product or solution and actually do some sweeping, because ultimately you have about 3 minutes worth of production volume on the feeder itself. In an Olympus, that was a little more difficult because we really only hold about 1.5 trays of mail, okay? And when you talk about 3 minutes of production, that's 3 minutes of production at about, on a number 10 envelope, of about 46,000 an hour. And on, say, something like a number 7 or smaller, you're going to see 48 to 50,000 an hour. So this processing speed is much faster on the Vantage, and it's also more consistent. We put a lot of work into the feeder itself and into this actual, we call this the operating area, if you will, of the machine. It's kind of, this is your cockpit, if you will, in the high speed world. You have, like you do today, we have 1 monitor on the Olympus. We've gone to 2, because what you want to see is you want to see your OCR results over here. So that's always displayed there. It's going to use the same OCR that you have today, which is Argosy Post Plus Platinum. And then ultimately over here, very familiar. But the first thing that I always do is when I come up to a machine, which is very unique to what we've put into the Vatage, is the ability to do self-diagnostics. So when I walk up to a machine, the first thing I do is, am I ready to run production? And with the Vatage, it's a simple push of the button into diagnostics, and very simple, you know, everybody understands the stoplight concept. And you have the ability to select all of these self-tests that the machine can do. And this makes it really easy for people that don't have on-site service or have on-call service, because an operator, you know, when you leave for the day or coming in and you know you've got mail to run, with a simple push of a button, which I'm going to do right now, the machine is testing all the pockets, and in just that fast, it has come back and said, we're good to go for the running today, which is fabulous, because in a previous, in the existing situation, say with an Olympus or before, that didn't have all of the interesting technology, you know, you didn't find out you had an issue until you started running production. And then by that time, you know, you're always behind the 8 ball when it comes to schedule. Okay, so that's the first thing that we always do. And outside of that, okay, but ultimately that gives you the idea of some of the technology that we have in the machine. So we talked a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, sorry, we have a quick question.
Sure.
And you probably did say this. So what I'm hearing is when we come in the morning, we can test each pocket before we start the job. And
That's correct.
Pocket 5, if there's an issue at pocket 5 or
yeah, actually, I'll get Rick to actually hold a diverter over. Okay, so just hold a diverter over, Rick, and I'm going to go back. So he's holding a diverter so it won't move, because we have sensors now on every diverter and in every active component in the pocket. Okay, so I'm having him hold it over so it physically won't move, and I'm going to hit this play button again. Okay, now it says, guess what? I have a diverter fault, okay, in pocket 8. So it says it right there. So now I can go over to pocket 8. We have the red emblem say, hey, stop. I'm going to now ask Rick to let the diverter go free, and then I'm going to retest. So this would be a situation and a possible situation where somebody would say, remove the jam, and the belt came down and blocked the diverter. Let's just say that. So I fixed that, and now I can hit test again, and the machine is all good. Just that fast. We tested 24 pockets, and if you have 48 or more, I mean, it's just really fast. Okay, and then you have the ability to even, you know, run 4 pieces to test each of the tiers and do a more exhaustive test if you like. But this is a very good test that I always have the operators do at the beginning, kind of when they get there, or also after a preventative maintenance. That you want to run those diagnostics to make sure the machine's good to turn back over to production. Okay, so let's walk around real quick, and before we run mail, but ultimately, just want to show a few things which might be different. First of all, the Vatage itself is designed to run much thicker mail and much larger mail than the Olympus product line. And in your particular case, where you're running first class, it's not necessarily an issue. But ultimately, we have our settling section, our main camera. Everything's easier to get to than it was on an Olympus platform. That is the key, okay? Easy to get to, easy to remove jams. So we've taken a lot of that feedback back from the field. Okay, and now this is what we call a shorty module, and this is where your printers are actually going to go. We use VideoJet printers in the Vatage product line. We have the barcode printer. You also will have a U-Move printer here, and then from a verifier perspective, we actually have the verifier now in this vertical, what we call an LDU section. So this is the verifier right here, which will be doing your barcode verifying for submission to the US Postal Service, okay? But ultimately, the idea of this module is to split the mail out into 4 different tiers for our multi-tier product. And then that's what these stackers over here are. We call this the flex line, okay, because we do offer this in 4-tier or 2-tier with integrated tray drawers, if you like that. But this is the most popular because you can get 24 pockets in a very small amount of space, and it continues to grow 24 pockets at a time. So about every 6 feet, you get another 24 pockets. So based on how large you want to make your machine, but it becomes a very tight, compact solution, actually. We've done a lot of work to make these very ergonomically usable for the operators, okay? So ultimately, very simple to sweep the mail. We have the diverter, we have an active stepper motor here, which also has feedback, and then the urge roller, and that's the justification. You print your labels, your tray tags with a push button right here. You also see the full light, and then when a pocket goes full, we also chime an alarm. So if an operator is, say, moving and doing another function, if they hear an alarm that a bin is full, then it alerts them to go to that and can actually pull that out. Along with that, on top of the machine, we have marquee displays. So when I pull a bin, okay, you can see that up there. It says right now, bin 8 is full. I don't know if you can see that, but we alert the operators, which also helps operations, because operations can see at a second how the machine is doing, what percentage OCR, if there are any pockets full, if there are any errors, okay? And then ultimately, each pocket has its own LCD line, which is very similar to what you would have today, displaying your sort plan, okay?
Oh, so it's not part of this.
They were asking about tray racking, David.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can put external tray racking out here. So you actually sweep from here and then rotate into your tray racking, 4-tier with pull-out drawers with trays. Or we also have integrated trays if you want to go 2-tier, but that will make your machine longer. Okay. So that's the trade-off there. Depending on how much space you have, you could run internal trays, or if you just want to use the external. Most people, I would say, outside of the Reliavote industry, most people run external tray racks. Now, Reliavote industry, they like the tray right under the pocket, so they can sweep for very high, super high integrity of sweeping directly into the tray. So that's the reason that particular group chooses the tier tray version, okay? So we can go ahead and run this really quickly so you can see. I'm gonna go up to the feeder, I'm gonna put some mail through, and then Patty will kind of pan through the machine as we're running, and then we'll stop after that and answer some more of your questions. I'll just open up a few covers. So when she pans through there, you can see the mail running. The other thing that you'll notice, now I'm opening up all the covers, so you're going to get all the sound, but ultimately this machine is much, much quieter. It's less than half the noise level as the Olympus. So that is another thing that the operators have always said, hey, I like to listen to music, all this stuff, but the machine gets in the way of my music. Well, guess what? So we solved that one. So now we're running at half the decibel level ultimately as the previous version. So let me start this up, and Patty will pan through and I'll answer any additional questions.
In fact, it's a lot more efficient than.
And this is exactly what we'll be getting, right? This is not just a display. We'll see all the weights, how we open it up, and we can see it, barcoding and all that. Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm doing now is I just opened up a pass. I am running in a test pass, but we're going to start I always start by holding the feeder and holding the magazine. We're going to start this up, and just like in the Olympus, you have the ability to speed up or slow down the belts, but in the Vatage, you also have the ability to change what we call the pitch or the pickoff rate. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start this up right here. Okay, another couple screens that we'll talk about. I want to show you real quickly. We've added, of course, IP systems. You can see ultimately just like you can in the Ollie, but most of your time is always there. So I'm going to start this up. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to release the magazine and let the magazine drive the stack up to the appropriate pressure. Okay. So now that it's at the appropriate pressure, my hands are out of the way. I just hit on hold feeder and let it go. And at this point in time, the feeder is designed so you really don't have to sit there and manipulate it. So as an operator, I'm walking with Patty now, and we're around to the back of the machine, and I could be doing other tasks like sweeping the reject bin, looking at, say, the double detect pocket if you choose for that option. Okay.
Get that speed, the same speed they got.
And this right now is running. So these are number 10s, and this is running at about 45,000 an hour at this point in time.
45, 46.
What's your dash line? 45?
I think it's 46,000 an hour. But, if it's 45, that's fine too. About 20,000. Some days,
Okay. So
more,
Yeah.
double like 40,000.
So 20 and 30.
Yeah, because if we have, it all depends. Okay, yeah. Between 20 and 40,000.
okay. One of the other things I'll point out is the stacker does a really great job of stacking the mail. So from an operator perspective, you literally go up and you can pull it right out and put it in a tray, as opposed to having to what we call, tap it, manipulate it. The older stacker designs weren't as good at justifying the mail pieces. So the operators had to sweep the pockets, had to kind of lift it up out of there, and then they had to kind of manipulate it and tap it to get it in a tray so it looked neat and orderly. So with this particular design, it does a very good job of keeping stuff neat and orderly. So you spend less time sweeping the machine. Also, one of the things that with a single tier that many operators gave us feedback on, I'm going to go ahead and hit stop right now. So I'm just using e-stop at this point. Typically, we don't have operators do that just for time's sake, but ultimately the ability to remove jams or anything are much, much easier. Also, this product has about 1/10 of the jam rate or stoppage rate as the current Olympus. So whatever time that you spend working on exceptions today, you're going to spend about only 10% of that time on the Vatage because it's been refined over the years. Any other questions that I could help you out with right now?
The tray tags.
Yes, tray tag printers. We have two options. There's right down there in the corner, we have a tray tag printer that sits underneath the stacker sections, or we also have an overhead option on an arm that you can pull down, and you can put those throughout the machine as you like. So if you want one on every, we normally put them 3 pocket sections to a tray tag printer, but we also have customers that request a tray tag printer in every 2 sections, in between sections. So that's just something that we can configure and Will can help you with to understand that. But right there's where they would request the tray tag printer, the button on every single pocket, and then it would print to the nearest tray tag printer.
Okay. So say if you had 48 bins, they all face the same direction. It's not like some are facing this way and some are facing the opposite way.
No, yeah. So that's the other thing is we can do single-sided or double-sided, and unless you don't have enough linear footage, the best solution is to have everything on one side, because that allows you to run the least amount of operators. And ultimately, one operator has right now on a roughly about a 300 pocket system, they run 2 sweepers. Okay, so anything less than say 84 pockets or something, you're going to find that a single sweeper can kind of keep up with it a little bit. And then you'll have to adjust based on your volumes.
Hi, Charmaine. This is Ken Vaughn.
Hey, Ken.
How you doing? So one of the big advantages opposed to the single tier that you have today is like what David's saying. Everything's not only facing in the same direction and the tray tag printers, but also instead of having to reach over, on a single tier, you're kind of arching across to get it. With the flex line the way it is, all those pockets are all at the same relative angle that somebody would pull and sweep mail to. So there is no reaching over from an ergonomic standpoint. It's all set up. You'll notice the ones at the very bottom are almost flat horizontal opposed to the ones at the top are at an angle. And that's designed because based on an individual's the industry's average height for people, it makes it relatively easy based on where we've got the angles set, that it's a nice sweet spot where people don't have to do as much reaching over. It's almost like all they have to do is just stand straight and just grab it and then put it in a tray.
Yeah, we find that the operators are very happy because we did spend a lot of time on the ergonomics of this. So both from the noise level, but also from the reach perspective. And Ken is right that we picked a 95th percentile female to determine the proper heights, and the little crescents that you see in all the pockets, which allow you to reach and see in every single pocket, is by design specifically. So when you're shorter, and you're reaching up to grab the top pocket or look through the bottom, those small things and details are there for a reason, and it's all ergonomics. All of the angles are chosen for ergonomics. Even the LCD angle is chosen for the best ergonomics. Okay.
So are these pockets shorter than the pockets we currently have with the Olympus?
You're going to find that these pockets will be more consistent, and you can actually stack more material in these pockets than you can the single tier, because the single tier will start to fall over at some point, right? These are 330 millimeters in depth. So roughly you get about half a tray into a pocket, okay? But you're going to find that these pockets will fill, and they can fill all the way up. And they have a pocket full switch within, if you do get a pocket full, then the mail will pause the feeder just like in the Olympus, and the stuff that's already in flight will go to the overflow pocket and be rerun under rescan.
Yeah, on your to further answer your question, basically, if you compare the way your single tier is stacking mail today, you'll notice that there's a little bit of air gap between each of the envelope pieces. So it may look like, yeah, it's a deeper pocket, but they aren't stacking as condensely as they do on the flex line. So therefore, you don't need as much area to fill it up.
Yeah, and also in the single tier pockets, there's about 3 inches of unusable space at the end of them. So, if you just look at it, it looks larger, but ultimately you're going to get the same amount of material and a better stack ultimately in the flex line. Okay.
The reports and changing the sort scheme, is it going to be easier, or?
It's identically the same as you do today. Same sort scheme editor. All the things like, sort engine, submitting postal one, all that's identical that you do today. Same reports.
Yeah.
Just a new machine. Can we see what the other side of the machine looks like?
Yep, sure can.
The other thing you do or don't notice, you don't see the external printers.
Yeah, because he showed us where.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
internal.
Yeah.
I like that. I saw that, yeah.
So, I mean,
Does
the
it have a cookie tag?
self-cleaning.
Yes, it
or
does.
do we gotta
Okay. So
He said it's
on the backside of the actual machine, you'll see an air filter here, because that's another thing that we do on the Vatage is we filter the air which is going into the PC area. So we do a lot to keep things much cleaner, which makes things run longer and cooler. Now on the backside also, Over here, you have the back of the LDU, okay, which is this area here. And ultimately, we made these doors so you can pull them open, do any sort of service. Service is so much easier on this product than on an Olympus. And just even we're finding more customers, even if they have, say, on-call service or something, they're also able to do a little more to help themselves in that respect. And then ultimately, so these covers, these you don't actually have to ever remove because everything is designed to be serviced from the front side. So what people do in a room is they can put this machine within basically 36 inches of a wall and then have the whole room to do their processing in.
And where's
Okay.
The video jet. Ask them to
Yeah.
send the video jet.
Video jet, yeah.
Printer.
Yeah, the VideoJet printer is in the front. Okay, the VideoJet printer is going to be more reliable. This machine does require shop air because we ultimately clean the feeder and clean the camera with compressed air. So the VideoJet actually resides here on pull-out drawers. So this is the actual printer itself down here. And then up here, you'll see is very similar to the mechanism that we have on the Olympus, but it's a round cannon instead of a square. But ultimately, you have the ability to set the heights, lock in the heights, and make the adjustments. But these are much easier to kind of work with because everything's on rollers. You can pull them out. You can add the ink to them and no problem with that. Okay.
One of the other advantages is compared to your Homage 9030s today, which are mounted back to back on a pole on the Olympus, but on the Vatages, they can last longer between cleaning. So instead of having to clean your printer every day, like you're having to do on the Homage, the VideoJet allows you, based on your volume, to really clean it and power cycle it once a week. Okay. So the daily cleaning is much better, and the performance is much more improved on the VideoJet than it is on the Homage.
Do they have a built-in vacuum or blower?
Well, it doesn't have a backup, a built-in blower. However, there is a port you'll notice when you get it. There's a hose that you actually plug into the machine. So your air is going to come in from your compressor to the Vatage. And then that air is piped throughout the system wherever the air is needed. But to clean your printer, what you would do is you would take this hose that we provide, just like you would do, like at a gas station, you'd plug it into the jack to clean the printer out, and then you disconnect it and roll the hose back up when you're finished with it.
Yeah, we've added a lot of stuff which makes it easier to clean the printers, and ultimately with the integrated air system, cleaning the feeder, basically making sure the sensors are always clean, making sure the camera is always clean. We do that automatically. So it becomes almost a non-event that anybody has to do because they clean kind of automatically. What you're really going to be after is you're going to be vacuuming just general paper debris out of the machine at this point.
Can, depending on the stackers.
Yeah, that was a letter that he demoed. They're standing in front of a mixed mail stacker section.
Yeah, so we didn't want to rush the conversation, but I'm very conscious of time. I want to make sure that you get the most, because we're going to be transitioning over to the inserting product. But I wanted to leave you with a few things. And by the way, we're still here for questions, right? But I wanted to leave you with a few things. We take great pride in terms of operational throughput, the uptime, the productivity that's related to our overall solution. And part of what we're standing in front of right now, when I mentioned earlier in terms of the number of engineers that we have within Bluecrest, who are the design authority, we also continue to invest. And so this is just an illustration of, our continued investment in the technology for sorting to have an awareness, right? As David stated earlier, we're always compliant with the regulatory for postal submission. So that is very key. We're always on top of that. So you'll know that you'll be able to have the proper support as situations arise, if they arise, down the stream in terms of postal induction, right? We have people who sit on MTAC. We have a lot of communications related to United States Postal Service as well. So just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that. So let me pause there for a minute if you have any questions for us.
They were asking about life expectancy.
Oh, life expectancy. Yeah, I mean, the Vantage itself, I
Great
mean,
question.
we guarantee spare parts a minimum of 15 years. So this, because it's all the latest technology, you know, this was designed in the 2000s. We actually introduced this product in 2008, have been refining it since that time up until now. So this is our flagship product. This is going to be around for another 20, 25 years easy on that. But we do guarantee 15 years spare parts when you buy the system with a Vantage Flex line.
Is he gonna show us the other, like the flats on that? Or we can see that today?
The inserter, you mean?
No, for sorting, flats, postcards, we're gonna be doing postcards, a lot of postcards.
Well, we could do postcards on the,
On this one,
yes.
but no flats?
No flats.
No flats on that particular configuration. But if you wanted to do
Yeah.
flats, then that's something we'll not talk about.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, the flats product is what Rick and I are standing behind, and this is our mixed mail product, and this will run basically what your single tier runs today, but an expanded spectrum. Okay, so this the single tier maxes out at 1/4 inch. This maxes out at 0.39 inches or 10 millimeters. But this is capable of running postcards to a 1 pound flat, if you like. But ultimately, as you can see, the space that it consumes is much more. Okay, so if somebody is wanting to submit flats and letters, then they go with a mixed mail product. But if they're submitting first class letters or standard class letters, anything in the letters category can run through the Vantage Flex line that I just showed you. Okay, so that's really the differentiation.
Of the speed, is it set at one speed or we can control the speed?
And control. They were asking about speed. Can you control the speed?
Oh, absolutely. Just like in the Olympus, the front of the transport is all servo controlled. It is a distributed motor control, but you also have on the Vantage the ability to control the pitch as well, which is the spacing between the envelopes. So you have kind of 2 levels of control to control that speed.
We can't make it faster than what it is.
So that's what we're talking about. Can we make it faster, south, or do we have to go through, Vatage?
You would purchase a,
There we go.
yeah.
There we go.
Well, you would purchase a, for you all, I would say like the 45,
Mhm.
and that will give you the ability to run, you know, up to 45,000, 46,000, 50,000 postcards. And then if you wanted to slow it down, you can tamp it down from there.
So postcard and, letters, right? So 45,000 for an hour.
But the operator can adjust the speed.
And the operator can adjust it, yes.
Yeah, right from the console, an operator can adjust the speed with the slider bar just like they do today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll see this is the speed slider bar and this is the pitch slider bar. The other thing the operators do have the ability to do, which is different on the Vantage, is if they're running, you know, kind of the standard run-of-the-mill material stays standard, but if you're running really thick material, you can actually tap this and change it to thick material, and it just changes a little bit about how the feeder reacts. So it gives the operator a little more control to keep the consistency of the operational throughput as high as we can get it throughout the day. Once again, just trying to make the life of the operator and the operations folks much easier, right? We want to make them happy to come into work every single day and run our products.
Is the internet connected to that?
We'll need it.
Yeah. that's
Same-
what we do now.
same as you have
That's what
today.
we do now, yeah.
Okay. You guys
Questions,
okay to
guys?
transfer to the inserted
Sarah, would you
part?
like it? That's cool.
if we're okay to transition, it's up to you guys.
Alright.
We're here for you, right? So if you're okay to transition, we'll move over to evolution.
Okay, you got a thumbs up, by the
I think
way.
we're ready to transfer.
Super.
Great job.
Okay,
Super.
Thank you.
So this is Cliff. Cliff is going to be able to work through and give you guys a demo here in the Blue Crest Evolution. You know, gotta love Cliff, right? Because he knows it in and out. So Cliff, take it away.
Everybody loves Cliff, that's for sure.
Take it away, Cliff.
All right. Hey, Jim, how are you?
How are you?
Good. Brief little bit about myself. I've been a service rep for over 30 years. Worked with Jim, became a frontline support specialist, and then last year I got involved with the Evolution. The Evolution is a combination of the great things about the Rival and MSE, and also incorporates the parts on our high-speed Epic. So that gives you better efficiency and less downtime. Wear and tear on your parts are your chain cycles. You don't have a chain on this machine, so your cycles between PMs is a lot less downtime, a lot less PM time. Okay, so I'm a service rep. I'm not a speaker, so I apologize. And at any time, if you want me to explain something better, please feel free to stop me. So I can do this real good when Jim and I are in person, but when I'm on video, I get really nervous.
That's all right, Cliff. You're doing great, man. It's all good.
I feel very, yeah, there it goes.
All right.
Okay. I'm just going to kind of run through. Jim, if you don't want me to run through it, I won't. But this is okay. This is a single accumulator, vacuum fed. I believe you already have a Rival now, so it's very similar to what you have. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. The difference is this has the auto adjusting fold plates. So when the operator loads the mode, it saves the fold settings and they don't have to do anything. If the fold is not the way they like it, it's just a matter of touching on the DC screen and then changing it a little bit either direction. Next section is the buffer section. This is what they call portrait to landscape. It takes the piece and turns it if you want it to run flats. We also have a TNT twist no twist module. So if you had an application where you had to flip it the other direction, you didn't have to buy an additional camera. You could just use this to flip the piece over. This is what they call your dump station, where it transfers the piece onto the deck. This particular machine has a rotary feeder and 2 friction feeders. And we'll get down to the engine. So for testing purposes, all these covers are jumped out, so you can see the machine run. This is the insertion area. It's very similar to the design of the Epic. So I'll go through the process here. So your envelope feeder is here. Oops, you see me? Okay, get down a little lower. So the envelope feeds from here, flap down trailing. It actually goes through here, down into the pocket, where it opens the envelope up here. Then it comes back up to the insertion area. And at this point, the machine has a set of sucker cups that lift the envelope up, and there's a set of horns right here, which you probably can't see, that open the envelope. There are 3 different size horns, depending on the thickness of your collation. I'm sorry.
On top.
Sorry, Cliff, they were just asking about where the envelopes,
I thought
outer
it was
envelopes are.
back there at the bottom. What's at the bottom?
Yeah, because that
Oh,
turns
goes
around.
around. Oh, okay.
Can you see it now?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, so that's where it stages. The sucker cups lift the envelope open, and then you have a set of horns on the side that open to go on the side that guide the piece in.
These motors here, that's what the
And then the envelope transfers through underneath of the envelope feeder and it goes into sealer brush is located here. And then we have a sealer cage here. The sealer cage allows the piece to go in, and then it helps close the flap. And as it exits, the pressure roller seals it closed. Also, by doing this, we don't need the red turnover belts so that your materials face up. So it comes out already face up, and it goes into what we call rat module, which then takes the piece away. So if you're metering or if you're printing, it's face up. You can configure multiple bins depending on what you need for diverts. You can add the meter. So you no longer have to walk around the back. If you pan over here, you no longer have to walk around the back to load the envelope feeder. It's in the front,
So
which
that's a
saves
big-
time.
You don't have to go behind the
Yeah,
machine.
everything's all on one side.
Yeah, so your operator is constantly, let me back up a little bit. Your operator is constantly working in this U cell, and this stacker can be set, I'm sorry, to go straight out this way. You can also get an on-edge stacker. So the operator's not walking all around, they're in one location.
Right.
So everything's on one side.
Yeah. Good job, Cliffy.
All right. All right, so these are the different size horns depending on your thickness of your collation. And that's an operator setup tool. All right.
Do they have an automatic stackers where the automatic stack?
You can leave all the covers open.
Hold on for a sec, Cliff. Where
Yes.
it actually puts it into the mail bin? Yeah, we did have something like that. I don't know if we still do, but
Yeah.
as an alternative, we can help you out to identify the tray breaks. I don't know if you guys do that now, where we either put a red mark on several pieces or we offset the piece so you know where the tray breaks are.
No, we don't, we sort of,
They sort of-
we don't, we
Yeah,
sort of
okay.
research, no.
So, but no, we don't have we had that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they have an on-edge stacker that stacks it up for you.
On that stacker might be something to consider.
No, we're good,
Okay. All right, Cliffy, sorry.
right?
Yeah, no problem.
I remember the state had it, didn't it?
Yeah, if
The
you,
state
if you
had it.
had the on-edge stacker, you would never go back to the drop stack. But
Because it lined it up right for each tray.
Standing up like this
yeah,
versus going like that.
you don't
We can give you an option.
More money, but
It's more money.
it is.
But it's- All right,
More
okay, Cliff.
money, less work.
More money, less work. Less work.
Okay, what I was just clicking on is we talked about the auto gap, the auto adjusting fold plates. Operator clicks on it and they can just change the measurements right here.
that's what.
And it's also currently saved in the mode. So if it's a job they run every day, it's the same as your machine. You click on the mode and then you just hit start.
Yeah, they love that, Cliff. They don't have auto plates
I
here.
would make both places.
Everybody.
It's I'm working on a machine right now. I've been helping engineering and building evolutions since last July. So I've built over half of the evolutions myself, assembled them. They're built different pieces, but the one I'm working on now does not have the auto fold plates, and I got to remember how to put them in and take them out again. All right. I'm just going to, I already loaded the job. I will, if you want, I can show you the changeover to flats so you can see how everything moves. But for just now, I'll show you, I'll just start this up.
Oh, can we do cards on there? Can we put cards through the postage or anything like that? Can we feed cards through the?
Postcards?
Yeah.
Typically, you don't run postcards through the inserter because it's what designed to insert.
Right, right, I'm just thinking
Yeah.
that if we went to put like, because now we're doing
Wanna
like the
just
feature.
pan it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
We could talk about that offline. We may be able to do, right? This is something we might be able to do for that. Good, but
All right.
Yeah.
So if you look, if you can see the envelope, I don't know if you can see the envelope in here.
yep, yeah.
I'm just gonna send one down so you can just watch.
Real quiet.
No, I guess it's quiet like that.
That's right.
Oh, it's so cute.
Big
Oh, wow.
differences.
That is, yeah.
Just saying how quiet it is, Cliff.
Did he turn his
And that's
sound
what, and that's with the covers open. It's not too loud.
Oh.
Not the,
Oh, so we can't hear it, so we don't know what it sounds, okay.
It's fooling us.
Oh, okay. 'Cause we
Yeah.
don't know what it
Cover's
sound
down.
like.
The cover's down, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not very loud.
Which is the one that you just saying, this one?
Yeah, I seen that last week.
Nice and smooth, huh?
And what he's gonna do is, so you said we can start a job on this one and also do rival, what's that called again, and we'll be able to.
They'll
See-
reconcile, even though it's on two machines.
Yeah, so, yeah, so, yeah, gonna get a server.
So this machine currently doesn't have a camera. Does it have a camera or
This
scanner?
machine, this does. You saw that red light, that's it scanning. I mean, we can add cameras, multiple scanners, that's all depending on your jobs. and what we're scanning.
But when it misspeaks or whatever, how does that work? Like, does it shoot out of the pocket or? Yeah.
It's the same.
Does this have a low cap diverter on it, Cliffy?
No, this one does not.
Okay, well, we could divert prior to folding, but mostly see those divert pins there,
Mm-hmm.
they would drop down depending on what the issue is.
The regions.
Yeah, it could be an international piece and that goes in one bin, or it could be, hey, this is a problem piece, it goes in that bin, depending on how you guys want it.
Yeah, because he's got a perfect job, nothing's falling out. It's
The machine doesn't jam.
Uh,
just- So that's what
Yes.
this
they're
says.
behind them.
Cliff, could you show them where the divert pins are again?
Sure.
So, and they're configurable based on different criteria, right?
Yes, you can have bads in one, you can have quality control, and you could have foreign, you could have them all configured any way you want.
All right, we can do that.
That's a nice thing about DC is you can configure it to do whatever works for your applications.
Okay. So, Cliff, I know you've been kind of spearheading this. You and I are friends, so I'm just saying that now, so there's no bias here, I'm putting everything on the table, but I know you said this is one or maybe the best machine in this market that you've ever kind of worked on, so like, what do you really like about the machine? From your
There you go, put me on the spot. All right.
Uh,
What I like about the machine is the multiple things. Number one is we're running in 14-inch pushers. So if you want to change over to flats, it's just a matter of loading the mode, the side guides go out, so it auto adjusts to the material. You don't have the chain that's starting and stopping at 100 miles an hour in the front table that wears out. You have a lot less moving parts, a lot less wear parts. And the machine runs really, really smooth. If Chris is there, he'll attest that normally we run the trifolds in 7-inch pushers because it slows down the control of the material. But this machine is running at 14 so that it's easy changeover to push of a button, load a mode, and you're running flats, which if you don't mind, I can show you that. If you're never going to use flats, we can skip right on by that.
Just one more question.
Sure, good.
Sure.
With the diverter, like you say, it reads foreign. Is something reading the addresses? Because you said like foreign mail.
What I meant by foreign mail is we're reading a barcode. The barcode can have a select in there for any number of reasons. You can have it to outsort qualities pieces, like after 1,000 pieces. You can have a mark that says, okay, it's a foreign and I don't want to meter it, so it diverts before the meter, or even after the meter, it just doesn't meter and diverts.
Okay. What if our mail doesn't have barcodes?
If your mail doesn't have barcodes on the input, all you can do is assign bins depending on, I guess, overweight criteria, jams. You don't have as much flexibility if you don't have a barcode.
We're gonna help them with the barcode.
Yeah, we're gonna go barcoding, guys.
We'll,
That's what we're gonna go barcoding.
okay.
Whatever, yeah.
Do you want, you want to show the flats real quick?
Sure, no problem. Now, if you all go out and get a coffee, or I should have it changed over by the time you come back from a break. So
Chick-fil-A for breakfast.
I'm gonna have to walk around here real quick. Just give me a second.
Who's working the camera?
I'm guessing that's Patty. Hi, Patty.
Okay.
That was Patty's thumb.
Okay.
I recognize.
Okay. Okay, so all you do is loosen up the 4 knobs on the envelope feeder. You lift up on the side guides, and then you turn this knob. Gotta make sure you loosen everything up first, though. You put your envelope in. Lock your side, drop your side guides back down, lock the nut. Move your backstop back. Okay. I'll lay these on the floor. If you want to just focus on those wheels there. When I load the mode,
So now he's touching the screen and the machine's going to set itself up.
correct, I'm gonna,
Yep. Old days you had to do that manually with tools.
Close one back.
See it?
Yes.
Automatic setup.
Automatic setup.
Yeah.
so that automatically changes what they call the right angle takeaway, so to the size of the material. A lot of these things I'm showing you on the engine, on the envelope feeder, are all saved into the mode, but the operator has the ability to drop a screen down. I'll probably show you that real quick. And that's operator adjustments. If they're having problems with a particular envelope, if it was, I don't know how to explain it. Chris can explain it better. If the envelope varies from one to the other.
Side it's not glued or whatever, you can move the envelope over a little bit.
Correct.
Okay, just.
Fine tuning.
You can do different things with that, move material.
Okay.
Also, automatically set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, side guides.
So we're gonna focus in on this.
Well, yeah, keep going, Cliff.
Okay, so I just wanted to focus in on the camera. So when I hit start, the guides are going to automatically adjust. We're going to feed up 3 envelopes through the machine. That's programmable. It can be turned on or turned off. What it's doing is it's setting a voltage. It's looking, what it's for is for high seal detect. So if you have an insert that doesn't allow the envelope to close properly, they call it a high seal, it diverts the piece. So that's when I first load a different mode, it goes through a calibration process. It can be enabled or disabled. So that's why when I hit start, you'll see all the guides move, and then you're going to be waiting. And here. That's 2. That's number 3. So if you noticed, I didn't have to do anything So the input feeder, the machine automatically turns the piece.
Yeah, definitely want to see the P2L in action as well.
There you go.
There we go. Look at that. So you feed the flat work just like you feed the folded work. No changing of the input because we're able to spin it at full speed to put it in the right orientation to go into the flat envelope. So that eliminates major changeover on the input.
Yeah, and I wanted to flats also. I wanted to
Can this do
offer
multiple
kids
pages?
more.
Oh, yeah.
What about like if it's a paper that's
Just put another.
bound, or if they folded the paper, it's like a bulletin.
Kind of like a
newsletter.
booklet or a newsletter or something like that. Yeah, we could feed them. Typically, we would feed them from an enclosure feeder, like a
Device there, the
rotary or a friction feeder. But we could feed booklets. I mean, there's specs, but
So
having,
like calendars and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that we sent out,
There's 2 pages.
so we'll be able to do that now.
oh, absolutely. I mean,
With
everything,
this.
Yes.
we should check it, but we have customers do 50, 60, 70 pages of accumulating pages into a flat.
Because they usually outsource that, so we could do it here ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have you bring in as much work as you.
This is what I'm thinking. If I
Yeah.
do flats also, I can keep it here in shop.
Will it do staple?
I guess it depends on where the staple is. That's more of a question for the engineer. Cliff, you, stapled sets, it depends on where the staple is, right?
That's
Often.
correct. Yeah. And that's a Henry question. If we
Yeah.
get the material, we can test for that.
Because when you're feeding, it's, if it's not secured correctly, you get some buff points. So it depends, and that's the kind of stuff we'd be happy to sit
Are you
down
saying,
with
are you saying feed material that's staple, or are you saying staple material?
Feed material is staple, or this bound,
Like 2 pages?
like those employment applications.
Oh,
Usually bound materials, not a problem, as long as it's bound all the way through. Like I said, we do people that do calendars and, small newsletters.
so we
all
able to
that
do
stuff.
calendars? Because
Depending on the thickness, sure.
we can.
Yeah.
Oh.
But again, pending application review by Cliff's probably like Jim. This
Okay.
all has to be checked by
No,
the
because all
engineer.
that we were outsourcing, we can keep that in-house now, and we can keep it.
If you get the samples, we'll give the yay or
Yeah,
nay.
the requirement calendar, DPW, yellow
Or
calendar,
those
and
applications.
lots of stuff that we send out.
Typically, you get us a few samples, we'll send them up, and somebody like Cliff will see if it runs.
Okay.
And if it doesn't, we'll give you a recommendation on whether, what you need to do to make it run.
You mean you guys will make it run, do the recommendations to make it run?
Well, we'll try to, typically, if it's there's specs.
It's just like a regular calendar.
Yeah, okay, if you have a couple, I'll take them with me, I can
Yes,
set them up.
yeah. I think I do.
Okay, all right. Do you guys have any other, is there anything else you want to show us, Cliff, before I ask if there's any questions?
So I have another question about that. So going back to the calendars, and I would put the Indeed show on there. So can we run that off this machine? How would we do that?
Run it on sorting?
Yeah.
We would we would insert the calendar into the.
Would the calendar go on the sorter?
Yeah. It's in an envelope, yeah.
No, it's just a calendar.
My calendar running that.
Just the instruction.
What ties the inserters to the sorter? You said it would know the job and expect the job.
That's that umbrella we talked about, the file-based
Mhm.
processing. There's something called shop or
Yeah, so in terms of what connects the inserter to the sorter, there's different forms of reconciliation of any item that comes off of the actual inserter. We could do an export off of the inserter that ends up going into the sorter for that reconciliation process. At the same time, depending on what you're trying to accomplish for that type of connection, reconciliation can be done multiple methods, right? The first one would be, okay, so you got a barcode that gets produced It comes out with a barcode. You have a full list in terms of what was produced out of the inserter. That file can then be ingested into the sorter. As mail goes through the overall sorter, it's doing a reconciliation or a checkoff and saying, hey, you know what? Off of this list, you only got, it's a report, right? Off of this list, you got only, out of 100 items, you only got 99. You're missing one. Okay. Well, through that tracking barcode, it's a reconciliation that tells you exactly which one you missed, right? So we can work with you guys depending on what you want to accomplish. We also have other things like tracking, right? So from a tracking perspective, like if you wanted to correlate in terms of production of an IMB that gets printed on the letter mail, it's coming out of the inserter, it's going to be used to induct into the United States Postal Service. It runs through our sorter. We know the outbound, and it could track it all the way through the postal stream through a product with our new acquisition BCC called TNT, which is track and trace. So, I mean, there's different forms depending on what you want to accomplish, but we do have a method of connection and communication for sure.
Awesome.
So track and trace.
But yeah,
Trace, USPS, that's the tracking the mail piece through the USPS.
We do want that. That's
We
what
do
I'm
that.
looking for.
And I think you were asking about, was asking about, more like document lifecycle tracking. Like, track the document through the inserter,
Yes.
track it through the sorter,
Mhm.
and you've got a record of each one of the pieces that is going out.
And this is all done, it's computerized. I mean, we don't have to write stuff down and keep track of stuff and all. I want to eliminate all that.
Yes.
great job, guys. I know Clifton probably, or you both have a lot to do. Is there any other questions or?
Yeah, and by the way, guys, look, I know as you think through this, you think of your overall process, questions may come up. I mean, Jim is always fantastic with our clients. I mean, get us the questions. We'll get them back to you, respond to you as quickly as we possibly can. I mean, we got the subject matter experts here that could quickly turn that around for you, okay? So if anything comes up, feel free.
No, I thought it was first time I've seen the virtual demo. I was very impressed. I felt like I was right there. You guys did a great job of explaining things, and I'm ready to buy a couple. I'm not even in the market, so.
Hey, we'll take the check.
Thank you very much, guys. Cliff, that was awesome.
Great job.
Thanks a
guys.
lot.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Be safe.
Appreciate
Bye,
it.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.